And now to the discussion segment this morning. The presidency has rebuked the Financial Times Africa editor, David Pilling, over an article on the Buhari regime published on January 31, 2022. In an open letter to the editor of Financial Times, senior special assistant to the President of Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said the caricature of a government sleepwalking into a disaster. What is Nigerian government for? January 31, 2022. It's predictable from a correspondent who jets briefly in and out of Nigeria on the same British Airways flight he so criticized. The fourth paragraph of the article said Buhari has overseen 2 terms of economic slump, rising debt and a calamitous increase in kidnapping and banditry. The one thing you might have thought a former general could control. Familiar candidates to replace him, mostly recycled old men, are already counting their money ahead of costly electoral marathon. It takes an estimated $2 billion to get the president elected. Those who will pay will expect to be paid back. Mazi, good morning. And joining us, so I almost omitted this, but joining us to make sense of this conversation, we have in the studio Mazi Chinedum Obioha. Good morning, Mazi, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Mazi.
Yeah,
good to have
pleasure.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. So from the side of my eyes, I could see your reactions while I was reading that, especially the last statement that said those who would pay would expect to be paid back. So what's your reaction on what's happening with the Financial Times editor and the federal government?
Well, I think they are too fair to the government.
Oh, they are too fair to the
That's
government.
Financial Times.
Yes,
Okay.
they are too fair. In my own humble opinion, the report would have been more than that, worse than that. It was what we have witnessed for the past 6-7 years. I've never witnessed it in my life. So, the Nigerian government, I don't know. You see, when there is mistrust, where there is the credibility is not there, this is what the Nigerian government have lost: mistrust and credibility. They are not credible. The president that came on board with all promises, Nigerians either wrongly or rightfully thought that he would have replicated what he did during between 1998 and 1983 and 1985. Little do we know that it wasn't actually him doing it. It was his Lieutenant Idiabo. So it's unfortunate that we have found ourselves. Where do we start from? Is it the insecurity? Is it the corruption? Is it bad economy? What again? There's nothing to write home about. So the Financial Times is very, very fair.
You mentioning that it's very, very fair. But the senior special assistant in person of Garba Shehu who made a statement and called that a caricature. So
that is his own language. It is more than caricature. That's what I mean by being fair. Otherwise, it would have been gone bad than that, worse than that. Because I don't see, my worry in this country is that people celebrate wrongs. People speak from both sides of their mouth. The situation we are today, was it the same situation we met or they met when they came on board? In Borno State, I've told you here, I've been in Borno State. I was in Borno State for, well, I was there between 1982 through 87. I left Borno State, I know this again. So during 2014 election, yes, 2014 election, Boko Haram was occupying 6 or 8 local governments in Borno State. And the then security advisor cautioned and advised that he will not guarantee the security situation there, that they should give them more time. 6 weeks were given, and they cleared that with the former chief of staff in Hijiroka, Lieutenant General Hijiroka. The same people criticized and attacked him that he was killing his people, and Hijiroka was retired compulsorily. Now, you interviewing me here, you in the studio, and those watching, what we are facing now, was it what we've had in 2014, 2019 up to now? Insecurity everywhere. No one can go to sleep with 2 eyes closed, including our president cannot even go to his home state. Last week, the bandits killed 33 persons in Zamfara. because they were unable to raise 40 million naira levy imposed on them. Have you ever heard that? The other time a helicopter was shot down in Zamfara. The president home state, that's Katsina, is no longer safe. Where is safe in Nigeria? And then you are telling me that they are too fair to him. They are too fair.
All right.
You call it caricature. Which caricature? It's more than caricature.
I'll come to a part where you would probably give your own description of the Nigerian government. But the title of this particular write-up is, what is Nigerian government for? In your own opinion, what exactly is government supposed to stand for in a society?
Now, the responsibility of any government is to protect life and properties. Life of the citizens and properties. Are we saying it today? Nobody's safe. What Nigerian government is supposed to do, the government in place is supposed to, one, provide security, shelter, the economy, and the security. But the opposite is the case. What are we experiencing? Now, there is high cost of living. Inflation has gone beyond the sky. Now, what are we benefiting? In fact, I make bold to say I'm surprised. I mean, I apologize for saying this. I am regretting being in Nigeria. I made it 2019 when this present government was elected, and my fans say I should withdraw it. But I did withdraw it that time. But now I'm repeating it because what I am seeing, I've never seen it. And this country is the worst country in the world.
Martin, what has coined your regret for someone who is at your age and experience, who has lived in literally every part of Nigeria, the northeast, you're from the west, you've stayed in the north, currently in the south, well, from the east rather, you've lived in the north, currently in the south, the west rather, and what has coined your regret over the years? Because you mentioned that it's nothing like you have seen before. We've had civil wars that lives were lost, and I'm sure you were around during those times. Lives were lost, properties destroyed. So would you say that this is the worst as compared to those times?
Yeah, this is the worst because in those days, that's between 1966 through 1970, it was targeted to a particular section of the country. North was not affected, the west was not affected. But today, insecurity is all over. Nowhere is safe. The other day, I was with a colleague on Galaxy Television on Tuesday. And he told me one of the Royal Highnesses was shot at Abia State, very close to Abia State University. Then what about even Biniore Road? Is it safe? What about Lagos State? Is it safe? What about Auchi, Lagos, Auchi, Abuja Road? Is it safe? Nowhere is safe. But during the war, it was targeted to the former Eastern State. But then other people were going about their duties. People were going about their duties. The West, the North, they were living in peace and things. Food was everywhere. But here today, you two of you are ladies. Tell me before God and man that you have witnessed the high cost of living in Nigeria before. As it is now, can you buy a dedicated cup of rice? What is the cost of onions? Ordinary one. So you are telling me that anybody who said now is better, God will judge.
Okay, just I understand where that is coming from. But basically, when we talk about Nigeria, we talk about insecurity, we talk about the economy and all this. How exactly can this be solved if the government is not living up to its responsibility? Whose job is it to ensure that the government does the right thing?
Yeah, it is the responsibility of the electorate. But unfortunately, like the reporter said, their conscience has been mortgaged because of poverty. You see, during the Civil War, let me come back to the Civil War. During the Civil War, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo said the best instrument to fight the enemy is to starve them. Starvation. And that is, starvation means even poverty. When you are poor, you can't feed yourself. And that is what is happening. They know that even poverty, education, people are illiterate, especially in the North. They are just like zombies. Now, when you are poor, you can't feed yourself. You go for porridge. That's what is happening. The Nigerian electorate are now poor. And they elect the politicians, the greedy ones, have now capitalized on that. that the only way to buy their conscience is by starving, making them perpetual poor, so that when they come back to them, they'll still go. I think they're already on ground. They've started with their fake promises.
All right, we have the elites. What are the elites doing in the face of all of this? What can the elites? Because I am looking at a situation where we're not held to ransom by a group of people who we supposedly elected into office. I mean, we keep talking about
in the
these
first place,
issues.
were they actually elected? They were not elected. You see, when we come to talk about election, democracy, the government of the people, by the people, for the people. This government, is it for the people? Is it by the people? Is it for the people? They were not elected. They were imposed on us. They imposed themselves because they have the machineries. Why? They have the economy, they have the power, and they have the finance. The central bank was turned to the former governor of Lagos State. His house becomes the central bank. We all saw it. I was in the studio when Bulamba was driven into his compound, and he was interviewed. He said, "Is there any wrong for him to have for the Bulambas to come to his house? Has he stolen money?" How can a sane person say something like that? Poverty is the key. I mean, illiteracy is the key, because they have refused the schools to work. Education has collapsed. Hospitals have collapsed. Have you even seen any of them? Mosquito bites that they run to America, they run to UK, they run overseas for treatment. Ordinary mosquito bite. But they've left our hospital, our health center in, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. To the point that you cannot go to the hospital and get proper medication.
Mazi, are you not afraid for Nigeria, saying that just recently I took a stock and I found out that almost all my friends have relocated to other countries, and then I intentionally put something on my status and I had a lot of responses, people telling me that they are planning theirs, and I'm like, if we all leave Nigeria, who will make Nigeria better? How can, because I intentionally ask you that question about what can we do? Is it that we're incapacitated by a few? Isn't there something concrete that can be done to put these people where they belong? Do we all have to leave this country?
The basic answer to it is that the constitution should be reviewed to give more power to the electorate. Secondly, the elites that are causing this problem, they should be checkmated. To me, those who have been in power from 1990, from 1960 to now should not be in power. Most of them are still there. They've so amassed wealth that they can.
And power also.
Yes, and power that you cannot, even the younger ones that are coming up now, do they have the power? Do they have the finance? So they continue to subject us to their own will.
But you know, politics is a game of numbers, and they use the tools of political parties. So how do we break that?
Let me tell you, Perpetua,
yes.
Let me tell you, the first point of rigging election is during the registration, and of course the census, where people who are the head of this department are in charge of this, because they give outrageous numbers to themselves so that they will continue to be. Election is by numbers. In the whole southeast, we recorded, according to the statistics, 2 million votes or registered voters. 20 million. But while within the north, 19 states in the north, about 5 or 6 or 10 of them will give that 20 million. How do you think you can? Because they planted themselves in a place of authority that they can always suppress us.
Mazi, you mentioned earlier, let me take you up on your statement you mentioned earlier. You mentioned they have the economy, the power, and the finance. Now, the question is, all of those things put together without the people, is it supposed to stand the whole water? Now, I said that to say this. When we look at the government, the leaders have done this, have done that, they are doing this and doing that. But we have people who are still willing and ready to sell their future of their kids and grandchildren for 5,000 naira for a bag of rice, less than a bag of rice, obviously, not even a bag. A bag is even too much.
5 kilograms.
For 5 kilograms of rice, for Maggi or seasoning cubes, I mean.
6 pieces.
6 pieces and all of that. So it's are the people. Because I believe no matter how powerful and educated or powerful, rich and everything these people are, without the will of them, if the people could stand together. We've had countries that have had revolution, not because they wanted to throw out their government. We had countries that say no, these people would go, and they actually They would go look at what happened with Trump in the US. Not like they, of course, the people came together, majority, and said we wanted someone else, and it happened. So the power of the people, where does the power of the people come in cases like this?
Yeah, the power of people comes in where there is unity.
Okay.
Because the government in power has made it difficult for Nigerians to be united. Look, if you read the book of Genesis, where the sons of men built the Tower of Babel.
Correct, yeah.
I was already saying that was what I preached. Power in unity. I said, come, let us build a tower to make name for ourselves. Unity. And they were doing it. They almost got to heaven. And God came and said, come and see what the sons of men are doing.
They could achieve that if they united.
So if we don't do something, they will achieve their aim. What did God do? God now disorganized their intention by scattering their languages. People's power have been mortgaged. We are not united. They now created what I will call divide and rule. Divide and rule. The North can no longer agree with the West. The West can no longer agree with the South. That is a problem. Until we come to the knowledge of understanding that power is important, we will not get it right. And look at what is happening now. People are clamoring. Give this presidential ticket to certain people. Mm-hmm. And these people who have been in power for the past how many years now say it is what is justice? There's no justice. There's no fairness. There's no equity.
Okay, I like the fact you mentioned this. Now it brings up to the next conversation. Now ahead of next year's general elections, particularly the presidential election, quite a number of names are emerging as contenders on the platform of the two major political parties. That's the All Progressive Congress (APC) and the leading opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP). Who is the presidential Nigerians need in 2023? One of the top stories I'm happy you brought this up. Now, one of the top stories on the paper this morning, that's this day, it says, Nigeria needs young, energetic president in 2023, says Abdul Salami. And also, Financial Times, in their reports, they mentioned the fact that they have recycled old men still coming out and coming up for these elections. And an average, I think they mentioned an average amount to have an election about $2 billion
in dollars.
Now, the young people, imagine someone like me, young, energetic, the kind of president Nigeria needs. I have all the qualities, majority of the qualities. Do I have the money?
That's the point now. They've cornered your economy to their pockets.
So what do we do? Imagine someone Nigeria needs, you don't have the money.
The same question on Tuesday, I was on Galaxy in their news, and they said the youths, that's what we discussed, the youths are now lobbying, begging, the same horns that are troubling Israel. That's what I call them. The same horns, the same people that have been there since years, since 80s, 90s. And my response is, the youth do not need to lobby anybody. They should go out there. Power is not by begging. But the important thing, the disadvantage they have is that they don't have the capacity to be there. Because the same people, the same old men I see there, they don't have the money. If money answers everything, though is the root of evil. Mm-hmm. But then, if you don't have money, like we said now, you have every quality, but you don't have money to pursue it. How can a governor purchase a nomination from how many millions? Which among the youth have such money? The youth are qualified. I read somewhere where somebody said that our president should not be anybody above 60. Fine and good. But those above 60, below 60, do they have the money? Where these people that have been there have embezzled the whole economy, crippled the economy. So that's the problem.
When we talk about money, really, how important is it in the scheme of things when it comes to winning an election? Maybe we need to understand the role money plays better so that we can begin to proffer solutions, because I understand that right now our constitution does not allow for independent candidacy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But really, if we're trying to proffer solutions, I believe we should be looking at every available option. What role does money play? How important is money? And how, if at all...
Nigerians value money because of poverty. People have mortgaged their account. You mentioned it. I during the exercise, I went, even during the night, 2019, I went around to monitor things. And I went to a woman's shop. And she just came back from campaign rally with broom. I don't want to mention the parties. With broom, now you should know. With broom and the rick of rice and some Maggie cubes and things like that. I said, madam, where are you coming from? He said, I have gone to collect my share. I said, madam, how much? He said, 2,000 naira with this. I said, if your eyes of understanding will be made manifest for you to know, appreciate what you have done, that you have mortgaged the future of your children. So money is important. But this youth didn't have the money. Corruption everywhere. Those in power have been there since 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Now they are still there. They've cornered all the economy. Nigeria, what is somebody doing with 1 billion naira? What is he going to do with it? Somebody. Look at the problem that we have among our youths. Ritual killings. Because of money. I discussed, that's why I slept around 2:30 this morning, because I was recording my program with Abia Broadcasting Corporation. The crazy for money with our youths. Get money quick, get rich quick. Money is the root, and that is why it will be difficult, if not impossible, for any youth to rise up. To me, we need somebody who is credible, who has the interest of Nigeria at heart. We need selfless leaders. But can we find it among those people? All of them are coming out for themselves, for their own interests.
Okay, just before we go on ahead, I remember in that particular report, the writer, David Pili, said something about Yemi Oshimbaju. What do you think about his candidates, if at all he decides
No, you see, our vice president, with due respect, within the 3 months, our president was not there. He did excellently well. I was in the studio then, 2019, and things like that. And I said, he is my candidate. He's supposed to be the president. But when his master came back, he nullified and canceled most of the things. He's a good person. But the fear of people is this. Look, let me tell you how they play it. The North, let me be bold to say it, nothing will happen. The North will not want somebody they will not pocket.
Okay, Mazi, I want to take you up on the statement you made earlier. Sorry to cut you. And you mentioned the fact that the youths are qualified, but they don't have the money. And now that brings me to the original concept, I say again, original concept of godfatherism. I understand that godfatherism has been, the purpose of God being a political godfather has been,
bankrolling.
Yeah, has been, I'm trying to get a word to use, but has been defeated now.
Okay.
The original purpose of godfatherism in politics, when you say someone's a godfather to you, I'm sure you have goddaughters or godsons.
Your mentor.
What is your role as a godfather? If I say, Mazi, you're my godfather, you are supposed to tell me,
it means
Margaret, you are wrong. Do this rightly.
Boldly looking at me face to face. I said, please, this is wrong. Morality is no longer there.
That's the original concept.
People are morally bankrupt. And they no longer fear their conscience. They don't have conscience because the Bible said their conscience have been seared.
All right, I just want to wrap up now. So the original concept of godfatherism in politics, like the word godfather, you just mentioned what it is. For someone who doesn't have the money, a political godfather, knowing fully well that this person is the right candidate, not being biased, not for what he would gain, I would support you. You are the right person for this. Go. When you need help, you come to me, you talk to me about it. I'll tell you when you're wrong or right. But now we see the godfatherism system.
But we have people like that now.
That's the original concept.
We don't have people like that
and
now.
That would have helped the youth.
Let me tell you, with due respect, the former governor of Lagos State, he has been a kingmaker. He has made so many kings. Okay. But he wants to be king himself, which is wrong. The original intention of godfatherism is somebody who will call you and say, Mag, this is wrong, sit down. If I, as your father, cannot look at you and say, my son, my daughter, sit down, you are wrong, something is wrong. And that is what is happening. They are people, Bible says, they are people after their own stomach, after their own belly. Look at all the candidates that have come up now. They are going from one place to the other, seeking blessing. Either they will go to Obasanjo today, they will go to Babangida tomorrow, they will go to Oni of Ife, they will go to Oba of Lagos. And these our traditional rulers, give them blessing. I support you. And these people cannot tell. Look, some years ago, a Catholic prince in, I think, Anambra, Enugu State, asked one of the governors, please take back that donation. Go and use it to pay what? The civil servants their salaries. In Ghana, I saw it. The youth return bags of rice. We don't want rice. We want good governance.
All right. All right, Martin, thank you. That's a good place to say thank you for joining us. We don't want this, we want good governance. I'm sure you've listened to what Marcy said, and if you can inculcate this in your decisions. Elections are coming up. Do you have your permanent voters card? That's a big question you should ask yourself. Of course, someone said INEC does not count your tweets, doesn't count your retweets, doesn't count your comments on social media, doesn't count what you have in your heart, your agitations and your protests. What the INEC would count is your vote, and every vote does count. So I will take a very short break now. When we come back, we have a segment to wrap up the show this beautiful Monday morning. So stay with us.